Hello, marry me. So, recently I had an online discussion with somebody about Wicca's point of view on abortion. And I thought that a pagan point of view when it comes to this debate that's been very active lately could be interesting to throw my 2 cents on. So, first, while it doesn't really affect what I feel that a Neo Pagan with a sort of Wiccanish into it point of view when it comes to abortion. Basically, why my personal views on it doesn't really have anything to do with that. I will mention them anyway because I bet somebody asked. I am pro-choice, but at the same time, I feel that it's the morally right thing to do, carry a child to term if at all possible. However, I am pro-choice because I feel it is basically because of three things. One is nobody has the right to judge how other people live their lives, and there's basically so many things that go on behind closed doors. It's just not right to get involved in how people choose to live their personal life. Secondly, I feel that every person has the right to determine what they should do with their own body. Meaning that, for example, you can say that about it taking a life. Yeah, but then you can also say that not donating blood. Or if you have a relative that desperately needs your spinal fluid and you refuse to give it, then you're also taking their lives. But it's still your choice. It's like, I feel that if one of my close relatives would die unless they got my spinal fluid, I would definitely think it's a douchey move to not give them that spinal fluid. However, at the same time, it's my body and I choose not to do it. So that nobody has the right to tell me that I have to use my body as life support for others. And the same thing with any person. And third, this is a very difficult question, and I feel that everybody has to make up their own point of view on it. And I don't feel it's right for me to take my point of view and push it down the throats of others. But anyway, there's that. That's my point of it. So, the direct question that the person who initiated this conversation said was, but how can Wiccans be pro-choice when clearly uh, Wiccans are supposed to protect all life and find life sacred? And here's the thing. Well, if you look at nature, and I feel that for a Wiccan, nature has to be your ultimate guide. Like, take a lioness. She will protect her cubs fiercely. But if there are absolutely no food, so she cannot tend to her cubs, she will abandon them or even eat them so that she will have a better chance surviving. And we will see this all over nature. There's very few species where the mother will die to protect her cubs or children and so on. Very often they will do absolutely everything in their power to do so, to protect them, but they will end their young's life before they die themselves because it makes logic from natural point of view. Because if the mother dies, the young die as well, and then that lineage is dead. But if the mother survives but the cubs die, she can provide new young next year. And I feel it's very much the same thing. That from a Wiccan point of view, there's nothing. Here's the point. A lot of people go from the idea that you have the Wiccan read, which of course goes into with these eight words the Wiccan read fulfills. If it harms none, do what you will. And of course, somebody would say that abortion will harm somebody. It harms the people. They also feel that this is a guideline for life that is very much open to interpretation. And what do you do in keeping the baby harms? What if it harms the mother? What if the mother risks dying if she carries the child to term? Or what if it harms the mother in other ways? Let's say we have a mother of three and the household economics and her personal resources, her ability to care for the children just do not stretch to care for another child. What then? Is we then going to be guided by that basically removing the fetus is harm? Or are we going to say that carrying it to terms and then harming the family and so on is harm? The problem is that the Wiccan read is a guideline, but it's not one that just tells you this is what you should do in all situations. And I feel that, and this is my personal opinion, that following the Wiccan read, what you should do is try to find the least harm. Because very often there are no paths that will create no harm. I have never met anyone who has gotten an abortion who has done so just out of convenience. They have done so because it would be it's the least of two evils. It would be devastating for them at that time to carry a child to term. It could be a young woman who, if she has a child at this point, she will not be able to finish school. She will have to live in poverty her entire life, and who then feel it's better to end this life before it has begun, and then basically be in a much better shape to be able to care for future children. Basically just going into the idea that it is harm, yes. In one level it is harm. But like I said, very often there are no paths you can find that will have absolutely no harm. Usually the trick is finding the path of least harm. And I do feel that for a lot of people, having an abortion often is the path of least harm. And here's the thing, I really admire women who say, I will find a way, I will soldier through and carry this child to term. And like I said, I mean, I'm in a situation where I can't care for a child. I have a lot of mental illnesses. The situation around is not ideal for that. Of course, I'm always careful when having sex, but things could happen. I've decided beforehand, before I ever had to get into that situation, I've never been pregnant, that if I ever got with child, I would carry, as long as it didn't endanger my life, I would carry that child to term and then uh, adopt that child away once he or she was born. However, it's very easy for me to sit here and say that in rich Norway, because if I got pregnant, I would get uh, the doctor's help for free. I would get the hospital for free if there was a complication, so that me or the child needed to be hospitalized after the delivery. That wouldn't cost me anything. Hell, even basically psychological aid after such a traumatic experience as having to give up a child would not cost me. And as such, I say that for most people within Norway, it is fully feasible to carry an unwanted child to term and then adopt that child away. While, for example, in America, where you have to cover this and you might not have insurance, that can ruin a family. So, I mean, not everybody is in the same situation. And what if you're living in a nation where you don't have a good. I mean, in Norway, there are more people waiting to adopt a child than there are children for adoption. So that there will be absolutely no problem whatsoever to find a good home for that potential child. That child would grow up with parents who were pretty well off and had passed all the various inspections, so they were pretty much perfect. So I would then be able to rest and know that that child would have the best possible chance in life. But what if you live in a nation where it isn't so? If you are not able to care of that child will have to grow up in a bad, in a very bad, poor orphanage where they will get nothing of what they need. Aren't that harm too? I mean, I think that when you're looking at this topic from a Neo Pagan point of view, you have to look at it in two ways. One is basically looking at it from the point of nature. And from the point of nature, there's nothing wrong with abortions. First of all, we can look that nature have a tendency that if there's something wrong with the fetus, it will die and become a miscarriage. That's just how it works. I mean, medical science has been able to help a lot of children be carried to term. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying from the point of view of nature, nature have a tendency to get rid of abnormalities. It don't do that with everybody, of course, but yeah. Another thing that you can see in nature is how animals act, and a lot of species of animals will abandon a young they are not able to care for, that they are basically, if something around their situation makes sure that they cannot care for this young, they will abandon them or kill them. So if you look at it from nature's point of view, there's nothing wrong with it. The only thing you can look at it is from the point of view of the Wiccan race. And there I feel that, yes, abortion is harm. At the same time, you have to look at it from what's what's the least harm. And often I do think that I feel that you cannot judge somebody to feel that having an abortion is the least amount of harm they could bring to their life. A third thing I think you have to look at is the humanitarian aspect. I do not think somebody should be forced to be life support of another human being. Now, I am one of those that do consider a fetus from pretty young to be an actual human being. It's a child. But I do not feel that it's right to force somebody to be life support for another. And I feel this very strongly, both from my pagan point of view and from my libertarian point of view, that that is just not right. Like I said in the beginning, that we can't have laws that forces people to donate blood, donate bone marrow, and so on. And yeah, so I think that a very good movie that could give look at this is a movie that is named, and I think it's named My Sister's Keeper. It's about a young child, I think she's 12 or something like that, that goes to trial against her parents because she no longer wants to produce. Basically, the parents had her so that they would have basically a non-ending supply of blood and bone marrow for their other child, which is very, very ill. And now this younger child has said she no longer wants that, especially now that they want to take a kidney from her and give to her sick sister. And a lot of the movie goes around the basically the moral point of view of, can you force a human being to use their body as life support for another? And I think this is a very central aspect of the abortion question. And like I said, I feel that everybody who have the option to do so and don't have serious problems like an extreme phobia of needles or anything like that, they don't have any big issues that prevent them from doing so, should donate blood. But I do not think there should be a law that should say they should do that, they have to do that. And at the same time, I feel that if you have the possibility to carry a child to term, the moral thing to do is to do so. I mean, the situation is different if you can't find good ways to give that child to adopted parents. If you can't afford to carry a child to term and so on. But if the situation around you is that this is a liable option, then carry that child to term. That is what I feel is the moral thing to do. But I do not feel that you should be forced to do so. Because I feel that it's also very central to a pagan point of view that we have free will of our bodies. Our bodies are our temple, and our temple to do with as we please. It doesn't always mean that what we please is the morally right thing to do, but it's still our temple, our choice. So yeah, that is my 2 cents. Do feel to comment down below, but since this is a pretty sensitive issue, I'm going to be deleting any trollish comments. If you want to comment, tell me I'm completely wrong and so on, by all means, but do keep the insults to a low. Hope you have enjoyed this video, have a great day, and blessed be.